depression, anxiety. Those are dreadful feelings. How we end up here? And what is here? How this crappy experience got formed? And the most important part is there a way out? Because without a way out, this experience that we have about life is going to remain the same. So let us equate this experience that we have about life to a soup. Obviously, a crappy soup. And here is our soup. This crappy soup, life, our experience of life, it tastes, smells, feels crappy. And it's not the life that we want to live. It's not the experience we want to have about life. But without any other alternative, we are just adding ingredients to it, hoping that if we stir hard enough, we will have a completely different flavor. But it's still the same crappy soup with another ingredient. So we buy things, we get into relationships that we hope and think that they're going to give us the immediate gratification that we need. We do drugs, we smoke, we drink, and we do all this stuff in hopes to change this into another thing. Well, there is a lot of talk about living in the present. We all know that. Philosophers talk about that, motivational speakers speak about that, everybody talks about it, and we know it. Past is the past, future is uncertain, life is happening in the moment, and I totally agree with it. But how can we break through the noise in our heads to become available and to experience the present moment and to be engaged and acting rather than reacting? What I'm going to be doing throughout this short video is to give you information that if you use it, you may be able to experience a different life that is not confined to your memories and that doesn't have much information other than the nightmares that you experience, but one that might help you to distance yourself from it and access all this other information that is actually available to you and create a total different experience of your life. Lisa Feldman, who is a neuroscientist and wrote the book How Emotions Are Made, she advocates for a different approach to mental health, one that is not symptomatic, meaning that it doesn't try to appease your feelings, but rather something that addresses the root of the problem. And one way that she sees this happening is by teaching people how the brain works and maybe help people to create a different relationship with what's going on in their own heads in such a way that we could create a different recipe with the ingredients that we want. And live a life that is proactive, that is engaged. So those feelings of depression and anxiety are the result of bad traumatic experiences, memories being recalled constantly. What is a bad memory? Well, bad abandonments, all kinds of abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, wars, aggressive families, environments, and everything that to some degree affected you profoundly. Let's equate bad memories to a horror movie. So imagine that you're watching a horror movie. Not only that you're watching a horror movie, you're watching horror movies 24/7. And you are at the center of the horror movie, experiencing everything there as if it's real. That's your soup. So you're constantly running for cover. So you will have a few resources available to create relationships that are successful, to work, to enjoy life. Your main concern will be to be safe, to survive. This is what's happening all the time inside your head. Now let's see how those horror movies are created. Let's imagine that a little girl is out with her parents and the little girl sees a dog and she wants to pet the dog. She approaches the dog and the dog attacked her. Now that is a very traumatic experience. That experience will be stored deep into our brain for future references. The brain will take that information to alert us in the future of the possibility of danger from other dogs. Now, if the experience is so gruesome as this one for the little girl, it won't be too many filters. The girl will experience as if every dog that she sees is going to attack her. So let's assume that later on, a year later, 2 years later, she's walking with her parents and she sees a dog and she starts crying and screaming, and her parents, being parents, they don't want for the daughter to experience this. So they ask the owner of the dog, of this new dog, is he friendly? They get down, they try to pet her and pet the dog and let the daughter know that, look honey, this is not a dangerous dog. But the girl won't be aware of the reality that the parents are experiencing because she will be embedded in her memory and that movie being replayed, and she will experience herself at the center of it, reliving it, feeling it as it is happening again. That's how trauma is created. Now, I mentioned and I equate this like with a movie, like when you're watching a movie. John Searle, which is a expert or a leading expert, a leading philosopher in consciousness, expert in consciousness, he doesn't like the example of a movie because he said, you know what? It's not like we're watching a movie because we're not aware we're watching a movie. We are inside the movie. And he's absolutely right that with no other awareness, then we become the movie. And here is what we want to do, is give you an alternative in which you could experience your movies and feelings and not act on it, and create the distinction between what is going on in your brain and what reality is. Now, the girl reacting to this dog is actually something important because that's the brain trying to protect us. It will reference our environment and constantly looking for danger. Anything that will look like something dangerous from our past will trigger the movies and all of a sudden will be at the center. This is a very important information because that's how we experience life, from inside our memories and not in contact with reality. Now, it's a good thing that the brain does that, so we'll protect it physically. The brain, in general terms, is designed to keep the integrity of this thing, this body. And it will send us physical signals. It will have our blood rushing through our extremities, so if we need to run or fight. Now, the problem for us is that the problem that we encounter is when the brain takes upon itself to protect this thing, this me, this idea of I, this identity that we created it. What is that identity made of? Well, everything, especially this thing. Our memories, our beliefs, are beliefs that we have because of our memories. This idea of me, the brain is not that smart. So that identity that is so well defined, the brain takes upon itself to protect it, believing that if it is attacked, the attack will be lethal, like we're going to lose a limb or our heads or our lives. That's why when somebody disagrees with us or tell us something that is emotionally hurtful, we react physically. Same thing, blood rushing through our extremities as if we need to fight or flight. And that is the biggest problem that we have, because we're not able to make the distinction that when we're being attacked and the brain is replaying our memories, we are embedded on our movie. Now, when you watch a movie, an emotional movie, you allow yourself to experience what the movie elicits in you. And it is fine. Now, your emotions are real, but what you're watching is not. Now, that's much simpler because you can tell that the movie is being projected in your TV or in a screen. Different is when the movie is projected in your brain and you're experiencing it as if you have those 3D goggles that totally shuts reality for you. So, what is there to do about the emotions that you're feeling when you feel that your identity, that idea of you, is threatened? Just feel it and understand that an emotional attack is not a lethal attack. Every time you do that, you will escape this reality and become aware of something else. Eric Kandel, Nobel laureate, neuroscientist, it brings to us the knowledge that every emotion we have, any new information we get exposed to, get translated into a biological reality by our brain, meaning creating new pathways. So what we want to do is create this distinction constantly in such a way that the brain will rewire itself with new information that will compete with this one. So again, an emotional attack is not lethal. It is painful and the feeling is real, but the biggest part of that emotion is triggered by you experiencing once again the memories that you have. That's why, same thing like the girl that will see an attacking dog, and every dog will see an attacking human in every single human being that we are in contact with. Because we project, the brain projects an attacker or abuser in the person that you try or want to be in relationship with. That's what it makes relationships so complex. Because we want the warm feeling of being in a relationship. So it's kind of like we're pulling with one hand, but at the same time, we're pushing with the other one because we are afraid that we're going to be hurt. If we could live in the present moment, experiencing ourselves in the present moment, and allow people express themselves as they are in the moment, we might be able to create a different relationships that are authentic with the information that is at hand, and not bringing my past movies and make you, convert you in a screen for my own movies, and vice versa. But how can we escape from this belief that this is all who I am? Well, I'm going to explain to you just one of the elements, and you are going to be able to put things together. So let's say this is moment 1, this is moment 2, this is moment 3, and this is moment 4, and so on. Look, the reality is that the only thing that you can call you is this physical body, this thing. So if you're going to introduce me to someone, you say, that thing, well, you're not saying it that way, but literally what you're saying is that thing, memorize that thing, and that thing we call Alberto. Same way like that. Look, that thing is called a pen. That's all it is. Now, this thing is not me. If we open up this body and say, okay, let's look at the lungs, is that me? No, it's not me. Let's open up and look at the kidneys. Is that me? No, it's not me. Is this leg me? No, it's not me. It's just a body that has a function, but it's not me. Although this is the most permanent thing that I know about quote unquote me. But even this body, not a single cell in this body is the same as when this body was 5 years old, a long time ago. Interesting enough that the only cells that are permanent are the brain cells with all the information that we have. But that's not who we are. This is just the container of whatever that is inside of us. So here in the moment 1, this thing is thinking, talking, doing, and being something. Moment 2, this thing is thinking, talking, doing, and being something else. Moment 3, this is thinking, talking, doing, and being something else. Moment 4, is thinking, talking, doing, and being something else, and so on and so forth. Which is the real you? None of it. We're in constant change of expression. That's the experience of life, that we're being different all the time. Now, if we make that distinction, then we know that we're not our past. We are not the memory of me. We are just the one that is expressing itself in the present moment. That you could have a bunch of pictures like you have in your phone, but that's not you anymore. Even the videos that you took of yourself, it's not you anymore. So you are not the memory of you. You're not a permanent thing. You can self-express yourself every moment. So obviously in this short video, there is a lot of things that get to be expanded on, but this is the gist of it. So that will help you to actually start doing things differently, to be in contact with reality rather than with the memories on your own head. So here's some things that you can actually do and practice. You can do one at a time. Remember, the whole purpose of this is for you to be able to escape this reality. We're not going to really tell you what that reality was, what was the reason for it. Those are memories that got already there and stored. What we want to do is have access to different information. Every time you acknowledge that you're in your head, you become aware of a reality outside. And because you become aware of a reality outside, you're actually out of this space. And that's what we want, to have access to all this other information. Now you can use some of these tools for you to be able to escape that. Just remember, every time you do that, you will be escaping that reality. So acknowledge. When you are feeling emotionally overwhelmed, acknowledge that the brain is playing the memories, movies, because something triggered them. There is a part out there that looks like a part of the past, and the brain plays the whole movie to which that part belongs. Feel the fear and pain from watching the movie. That's all you need to do. It's not reality anymore. The feelings are real, but the movie's not anymore. I understand some of our movies are very gruesome. So I'm not diminishing the value, the emotional value of your memory, not at all. But what we want to understand is bring through a different path a way of an awareness that keep you, that will help you to step away from that memory. Distinction. Recognize that the physical feelings you're experiencing are real. What causes them is not. They are just memories, movies being played. The brain doesn't distinguish between physical or emotional danger. That is why it reacts sending you physical feelings. Surrender. Surrender is to relinquish control. Don't validate those emotions of fear and pain by protecting yourself. You need to push people away. There is nothing in the present moment causing them. There is no need for protection. Besides, the only thing that you can do is feel those feelings. Do not emotionally fight or flight. Trust. Trust is the realization that events in life will unfold the way they should without your intervention. That you have power over nothing. The only power that I have, that you have, is over your own actions in the moment you're acting. Remember, you are not the memory of you. If you did something that you're not too happy about it, you have a different moment to do something different. Don't bring a picture of yourself from the past, or don't bring a picture of somebody else's from the past into the present moment. That's mainly it. Embrace fear and pain. Embrace fear and pain. You are not going to die from watching your painful memories. It is just a memory. Get the popcorn and Kleenex. Lastly, do not give any meaning to your feelings. Because when we try to give meaning to our feelings, we start to create things to validate them. And sometimes we vilify the people around ourselves to fulfill that idea that we have in our heads. And sometimes people don't have anything to do with what we're feeling most of the time. So thank you for watching. If you want to make a question, I will appreciate, I will answer. That definitely will help everybody else. And share it.